Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, this is Josh, and welcome to another amazing game of StarCraft 2. This one's being played between Evil Genius's IDrA. He is the blue Zerg down in the bottom spawn of Metalopolis. His opponent today is going to be EG.IdrA. He is actually no longer on LG, that used to stand for Lazarus Gaming, but it has disbanded some time ago, and now AGH is actually on a team called Quantic Gaming. I believe their new tag is QxG, which would be quite interesting if they acquired the player QxC, then it would be QxG.Agh, and it would be the worst name of all time. But AGH is actually a buddy of mine at the first MLG event with StarCraft 2. He and I actually shared a hotel room. He actually lived very near Raleigh and lived in South Carolina, where I'm originally from. His name is also Josh, just like mine, so we actually became friends at MLG Raleigh, where he actually defeated Liquid Tyler 2-0 in the open bracket. Back then they didn't even have pool play, and AGH was staying with me, and I was like, so how'd it go against Tyler? And he's like, oh, 2-0. So I was like, oh, well, sorry to hear that, you know, Tyler's a really good player, blah, 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 can't expect to win every time. And he was like, no, I 2-0'd him. And I was like, what? Who is this guy? Like, I've never heard of AGH before, but he was just a ladder warrior, basically, and did very well at MLG Raleigh. He actually had top 16 standing at MLG Dallas earlier this year. He's very consistent, and you actually still might not know much about him, but now you do. He's from South Carolina. His name is Josh, and he plays Protoss. Evidently, pink Protoss is his favorite, but right now he's playing just a very standard game here against Mr. EG.IdrA, and you should all know IDrA by now. Of course, he used to be in GSL Code S. He has gone to Europe recently and played in DreamHack and the Home Story Cup, and both of these guys, I'm sure, are rearing up and practicing as much as they possibly can for MLG Anaheim, which I will be once again attending as part of Complexity Gaming and their media coverage team, so can't wait to see both IDrA and AGH back out at that live event where I originally met them in the first place. I mean, I met AGH at an MLG in Raleigh. I met IDrA for the first time at MLG DC last year, and I haven't missed one since, and I don't think either of them have either. So anyway, now that this game's starting to unfold a little bit, we're seeing this build out of IDrA that we've seen a million times before. It's the same one he always uses against Protoss. He always assumes that this probe is going to be lingering or at least building a pylon here, so he just plans to drop that hatch a little bit later, and there we see it going down at 20 supply. He's also been gathering gas pretty slowly here, but eventually once he hits 100 gas, he'll probably pull those drones off, go ahead and research Zergling speed, and be well on his way to whatever strategy he chooses to do after that. Could be a 2-base roach attack, or he might go up to lair since they are at close flying positions and go for those Metalisk attacks. But Protoss, you know, they actually can spread themselves pretty thin trying to defend against Metalisks, and IDrA doesn't really have a good look at what AGH is up to. He hasn't dropped any additional tech yet. He's only got that second assimilator, which does hint at a robotics facility or a Stargate or something like that, and there is only one gateway here still. No Nexus has been dropped or anything like that, so AGH is taking his time, trying to decide what he's going to do. He probably has a build in mind, of course, but I'm not going to be revealing any of that to IDrA or to us anytime soon. Here comes that sentry now being created to block off the ramp if needed. A little bit later on, if roaches and lings show up, you'll need that sentry to block that ramp. Second gateway coming down now, and even though he's got 2 assimilators, still has not revealed any additional tech. IDrA back at home, about to have his natural hatchery completed. Zergling speed has been started, and he has in fact pulled all his drones off of gas, not gathering any more right now. He could actually go for a roach warren here soon. It only costs minerals to build that warren in the first place. Dropping a creep tumor there, going to connect his bases, always a nice move there. This single Stalker and Zealot combination coming out for AGH, going to try and cleave down some of these Zerglings, but now the Stalker's all on its lonesome. There's a round of 7 drones being created for IDrA, and Zergling speed's only halfway done, so the Stalker could potentially kill all of these Zerglings as long as it's able to get away and recharge a tick of shield or 2. He could actually kill every single one of these Zerglings, and IDrA knows it, but he's still going to go ahead and continue this pursuit just for the hope that he can try to kill off this Stalker. Actually, another Ling comes in from nowhere and tries to get that last bite off on the Stalker, but AGH actually has a 9-kill Stalker here. It managed to kill all of those Zerglings, even gets the last one. They're double-digit Zergling kills for the single Stalker. That is what I call a hero Stalker. 2 promotions for this guy just from killing off Zerglings. He survives with 1 HP, but unfortunately Stalkers don't get to retire. IDrA will find that later on, I'm sure, and send him to an early grave, but still quite a nice performance. Good micro there from AGH gathering up 10 kills on a single stalker. He's got 3 sentries out now. He's gone for this Nexus. Dropping the Forge down on the low ground will allow him to get +1/+1 upgrades here soon. Would be surprised if we don't see that +1 ground attack started in a moment or two. Here we have a Stargate coming up. It's not quite done yet, only about 75% through. The first cannon being dropped as well to protect from Ling run-bys and things like that. Obviously he hasn't saturated his natural yet, but when he does, he doesn't want those Lings to get in there and try and kill everything off either. Third hatchery total here for IDrA, second expansion, right at this safe location, very far away from his Protoss opponent. He's also poking the ramp, not poking the ramp actually, poking this natural area just to make sure AGH is staying contained onto 2 bases for the moment. Probably saw these sentries a little bit earlier. He does actually send an Overlord across AGH's base now and sees this Chronoboost. You can also see the silhouette of a Void Ray there, so that's going to ensure that a Void Ray is coming out and not a Phoenix. This is actually the only building in the game that will reveal what is building in it before it actually pops out. So the Void Ray is complete, obviously going to be able to pick off this Overlord, totally undefended here. But IDrA has gained all the necessary information to continue in this game. He's got 2 Spore Crawlers building immediately as soon as he saw that Void Ray, or as soon as he saw that Stargate, excuse me. That lair is about halfway done now, so he can start working towards Hydralisks or Mutalisks. Got an Evolution Chamber, making +1 melee attacks already as well. Good investment for the future, but the first Void Ray has arrived. The first Phoenix is also here as well. We'll be able to lift up that Queen if the Void Ray actually gets a good chance to pick it off. IDrA having to re-burrow the Spore Crawler. They do burrow a little bit faster than they used to, but it is going to force AGH to float away after killing off 1 more Overlord. So that actually was a pretty important little kill there. Actually supply blocked IDrA for just a moment. He does have his 3rd hatchery up now, as well as a Spore Crawler. This is actually not complete yet. He's just sending this one here to run over and burrow there, or root itself into the ground. 2 Phoenixes now for AGH. Still this Void Ray with 2 kills. That's 2 Overlord kills. Mind you, we've got Pneumatized Carapace being researched for IDrA, so he can run away his Overlords just a little bit faster. There goes that Graviton Beam from Phoenix number 1, letting the first one take a few shots off, and now that the Void Ray has arrived, he'll be able to potentially finish this guy off. Queen number 2 showing up from the natural, trying to get some free shots on this Void Ray. The Spore Crawler's also burrowed and ready to go in position, but 2 Queens here from IDrA will be able to pick off a Void Ray, so AGH needs to be careful and keep those guys at a safe distance. 4 more gateways in that production tab right now, just being dropped sort of all over AGH's main right now. So the Void Ray and the Phoenix combination here was pretty much meant just to buy time long enough for him to get his economy up and running here at his natural, so that he can go up to, how many gates total was that? I believe just 5, could be 6. Yes, 6 gates total, so 2 baits, 6 gate. IDrA does have his lair finish. He's got Hydralisk already on the way, as well as that Hydralisk range. Roachworn is up, but he hasn't gotten any of those necessary upgrades, Tunneling Claws or Glial Reconstitution, so it looks like Hydralisks are just going to be the unit of choice now. Obviously, they are a great help when defending against Void Rays. No Burrow being researched either. It's kind of interesting. IDrA is floating away this Overlord, obviously away from this cannon, just trying to get another good look at things here. Oh, we do have a lot of movement here coming from AGH through the middle of the map. IDrA with only 108 supply against this sort of mini Protoss Deathball. Not sure how he's going to fare. We do have Phoenixes in the sky, sentries dropping force fields all over the ground. A pretty good Stalker count here as well, taking out another Overlord. Did not manage to supply block IDrA, but all these drones being pulled are a great thing for AGH to see here, making IDrA pull those workers, losing those drones to the Stalkers, and also force fielding that ramp was very important, as there were 3 Roaches and a Hydralisk up there that were not able to come join the fight. AGH down to only 9 Stalkers now, but he does have pylons in place, and here comes another round of Warpins. 5 more Stalkers with full health coming to join the fight. Actually, no, he's just chilling there. He needs to try and regroup all these units. Here he goes. Now he has the high ground advantage. IDrA does have some Overlords now for spotting, but these Stalkers do extra damage to Roaches. He doesn't have Burrow to try and regain any health or anything like that. He does not have ranged attack either. He went for that melee upgrade very quickly rather than a ranged one, so it's a little surprising to see this number of Roaches and Hydralisks after getting that melee upgrade. But this Void Ray now trying to go back and do some more work. AGH does have 6 gateways, keep in mind, so he will be able to continue to replenish that. This Void Ray has no chance of surviving that onslaught between the Queen and the Hydralisk, so AGH ventured out of his base, did a little bit of damage, but now IDrA has a 50 supply lead, so he is looking to be in pretty bad shape right now. IDrA does have 12 Roaches en route to AGH's base, but there's a Twilight Council coming up for our Protoss player. Melee attacks level 2. Again, IDrA, nothing for his ranged units, but +2 melee attacks. Makes me wonder what he's going to be transitioning into next. I don't believe there's an infestation pit yet. He is getting glial reconstitution at least to get those roaches moving a little bit quicker, scuttling around the map. Hydralisk range is done. He's got actually a macro hatch rather than a 4th base. IDrA has added on a macro hatch, and basically that's just any hatchery that's not adjacent to minerals and gas. Actually, it does cut that little harvest time there for gas, it looks like, but the entire point of it is to have more larvae available when remaxing your army. IDrA is sending a little fighting force here of lings, and they do have +1 melee attack, so at least they're able to take out that probe and get that nexus to cancel. A big number of roaches and hydralisks approaching the front now. There are several sentries here for AGH to be able to drop some key force fields, and this Immortal is going to make a big difference. I did not see the robotics facility go down, but here comes an observer out of that robotics facility. Twilight Council has been finished, but he hasn't gotten any upgrades. Nor any additional tech. I don't see a Templar Archive or a Dark Shrine anywhere, so just a Twilight Council for the sake of having one at this point. There's Blink starting in that production tab, and AGH comes up here to clear this 3rd base so he can catch up on number of bases. IDra's actually taking a 4th right now here at this far right expansion. IDra's also on the move with a lot of lings. +2 melee attacks aren't quite done, but they should be by the time he chooses to engage. Another Overlord zipping right over the base of AGH, getting a look at absolutely everything. You'll see that Twilight Council churning up something and provide vision for these roaches and hydralisks to take out a free pylon. Not going to supply block AGH, but still definitely going to help. 174 supply now to 129. A couple of pylons being added on for AGH just so he doesn't fall too far behind. And no, this probe is actually going to walk right into the jaws of these hungry Zerglings. That Nexus cancel, of course, was obvious, but the probe survives. AGH coming here to chase away all these lings. He could actually manage to slaughter all of those if they were to engage right now. Ooh, IDrA making lots and lots of lings. Let's just look at the unit set for half a second here. 93 Zerglings on the map right now, 79 drones against 62 probes, and a pretty good unit mix out of AGH from those 6 gates and that robotics facility. Oh no, the lings have made their way into the natural. They're easily going to get us around on that cannon, and probes are being pulled to fight off the lings. He's actually transferring all of his probes from his main down to the natural just so they aren't at risk. I like that move, but now the lings are running rampant inside the main, not really choosing any one target, so AGH should be able to come in here and clean this up before losing any vital structures. The Twilight Council already finished Blink, and it is actually going to go down to those very few lings, so IDrA does gain quite some time there and a pretty good investment out of AGH by killing that Twilight Council. He's going to have to rebuild that if he wants to go for that additional tech or get Zealot Charge or any additional upgrades or anything like that, so still a good pickup there for IDrA, making still just more and more lings. 96 Zerglings now. AGH responding again at the 3rd. Keeping him from expanding is doing him wonders right now. He's just throwing away lots of money on these very, very cheap units, but now he has a ton of infestors starting to hit the field as well as Neural Parasite, Adrenal Glands, and Zerg melee attacks level 3. Mass Ling Infestor is a build I am not familiar with, but maybe IDra's been toying around with it against Protoss opponents for a while. We'll see how effective it'll actually be. Obviously, lings are very, very cheap. If you get that macro hatch up, you can just constantly resupply them with the amount of minerals that he's been gathering this entire game. Ultralisk Cavern coming up now as well. We'll see if maybe he wants to get some Nidus play going as well, but can't be too sure about that. You can never actually gamble on that Nidus Worm, but Nexus starting to take some fire now from these very beefy Zerglings. They don't have their Adrenal Glands or +3 just yet, but they're already 2-0 in comparison to AGH's 0-0 units here. Force fields being sort of scattered around. The lings do sort of trickle in, but they are taken out pretty quickly by this ever-growing force of gateway units here from AGH. Still only one Immortal that I've seen so far. He is getting that Robotics Bay added on now and +1 weapon, so Colossi could be seen here relatively soon. He's getting that 3rd base up, and IDrA just doesn't have the exact fighting force that he wants yet. He wants those Ultralisks, he wants Adrenal Glands, and Chitinous Plating to be finished before he tries to go kill AGH. So right now, he's still just focusing on keeping AGH away from this 3rd base while he takes every base that he could ever want on that right side of Metalopolis. So IDrA, expand, 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 prevent, 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 and tech up at home while harassing with Zerglings. Seems to be working pretty good so far. He's got a 45 supply lead, and now he's starting to mass as this Roach Infestor Hydralisk Zergling force makes its way over to AGH's natural. Look at all these upgrades about to finish here as well. +3 melee attacks are not quite done yet, but here he goes anyway. Infestors, obviously, oh, they like to take out that Minx statue, but anyway, Infestors can drop fungals all over these Blink Stalkers to help out the Lings and the Roaches and Hydralisks pin their targets down. Look at just the money that IDrA has saved up right now. He's basically maxed with those Ultralisks finished up now. He's saving them in the wings in case this attack doesn't actually finish AGH off, but all these upgrades, man. 2-3, 2-3 armor right there for those Ultralisks. 2-1 for the Lings. Adrenal glands are finished. +3 melee attacks will be done here in just a moment. He's still just buying some time. Now the Ultras come in as well. You see them slow down as they skate off that creep. But here we go. Here is the big engagement. Guardian Shield goes up. It looks like a huge fungal just hit AskJ's Zealots and Stalkers. A blink down, trying to pick off the Infestors as fast as he can, but there are just so many units here, and all these fungals keep on hitting AskJ, and not even going to fight this entire thing out. He realizes when he's beat, he probably knew when he couldn't get that Nexus up for like the 4th time, that it was pretty much over. IDrA was just expanding uncontested this whole time, and by the end of the game, he had 71 Harvesters to 53 of AskJ, and had lots more Ultralisks than AskJ had Colossi. I think, how many Colossi did he have at the end? Not even a single one. It was still coming out of that robotics facility there at the end. So IDrA going to take game 1. This is actually a best of 3 series, though, so let's go take a look at game 2 and see if AskJ can fight his way back, or if IDrA will seal the deal in game 2.